Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the course Management Information Systems. Last lecture we had started off with the chapter 9, that was the enterprise systems. Enterprise systems की जब हम बात कर रहे थे, then we were saying that what are the enterprise systems, उसके advantages or disadvantages देखे थे. Also we said that we're going to talk about two kinds of systems, that is the CRM, the customer relationship management systems, and the supply chain management systems. और last lecture में we talked about the CRM systems. Enterprise systems की जब हमने बात की थी, then we said that they basically ensure that the information is shared throughout all the levels of the organization, all the functional levels of the organization, as well as the management levels of the organization, and they share a central database. So that when we talk about the ERP systems, that is the enterprise resource planning systems, जिसको हम interchangeably enterprise systems भी बोलते हैं, we said that it is a system or it is a collection of integrated software modules that share a central database. So that means all the data was captured and stored in a central database, and from there वो data फिर different functional areas में जाता है for analysis or for decision makers के लिए, आसानी के लिए. Also, when we were talking about the advantages of enterprise systems या ERP systems, तो हमने कहा था कि one of the advantage of enterprise systems is that because they share a central database, that's why जो उनका data access होता है, information access जो होती है, वो easier होती है, आसान होती है, and उसकी जो inconsistency होती है data की, वो completely minimize हो जाती है. Also, because there is only one system, that's why जो legacy systems के problems थे, that means कि उनको update करना according to the new business trends या उनका कोई problem fix करना जो कि बहुत मुश्किल था, वो भी minimize हो जाता है, because you are dealing with only one system. Also, since you're dealing with one system, that's why आपके जो IT infrastructure होता है, वो basically standardized हो जाता है, and you only have one set of hardware involved, you have one set of software involved. आपके different hardware vendors नहीं होंगे, software vendors नहीं होंगे. आप एक ही कंपनी से एक standardized hardware की basis के ऊपर आप एक standardized software ले रहे हैं और उसको use कर रहे हैं. Also, these enterprise systems are created by taking the requirements from the leading company. So basically they are based on best practices, or best practice का मतलब है that they are very customer oriented and they are towards operational excellency or operational efficiency. So these are the two major goals that the enterprise systems provide, that they provide you with operational excellency, they provide you with customer satisfaction, and since we said that customers are the main source that basically define your business, और कि business का जो success है वो basically depend करता है कि आपके customers कितने satisfied हैं. That's why we have the CRM softwares in the enterprise systems. कि CRM software basically क्यों बनाए गए हैं कि fine, if a company has a number of customers and they have to maintain a relationship with those customers, उनको customers को satisfy करना है, उनको customers को retain करना है, customers को loyal रखना है, then these CRM systems are in place so that they can provide the information and share the information throughout the organization regarding the customers. अब CRM systems basically क्या काम करते हैं? They capture the data of the customers from 3 different dimensions. They integrate that data in the databases, analyze the data, and then they basically distribute this data to all the functional areas या फिर to the customer touch points या जिनको हम contact points भी बोलते हैं. So this is the basic functionality of the CRM systems. या फिर हम ये कह सकते हैं कि CRM systems के 3 basic functions हैं. Number 1 is they work towards the sale, के customer data जो लेते हैं sales के through लेते हैं, then they take the customer data through the customer services, and then they take the customer data and then they manage and take the customer data through the marketing as well. So 3 dimensions के through they look at the customer and also take the data from that customer and also provide the data to all these functional areas. Right, so today we're going to start off with the next portion of this chapter, that is the supply chain management systems. और इसमें we talked about enterprise systems की जब हमने बात की थी, we talked about the customer relationship management. That means the processes that are working towards the customer end. Today we're going to start off talking about the supply chain that is concerned with the supplier end of the business. So organization का हमने front end देखा था, that was dealing with the customers, and today we're going to deal with the supplier end that is dealing with the suppliers. So suppose you manage a firm जिसके जो products हैं वो बहुत different किस्म के products हैं. The products are complex. That means कि उनके अंदर different किस्म का raw materials required है. उनका they go through a certain phase for creation. That means कि उनका raw materials parts में convert होता है, and then those parts are integrated together to create a finished good. Or you have a number of suppliers likewise, because आपके different kinds of products हैं, तो different products जो हैं वो different suppliers provide कर रहे हैं. Also, for example, उन suppliers के दूसरे अपने suppliers भी हैं, because for example if they're dealing with a certain kind of product, तो उस product को create करने के लिए या उस part को create करने के लिए उनको different raw materials required हैं. So that's why the suppliers may have their own set of suppliers as well. So when you have this whole chain of suppliers, and then you have to move on to different kinds of distributors as well that have to give the products to the different kinds of retail stores. So that means कि आपके जो एक organization or supplier का जो relationship है, that becomes vast and that becomes complex. So that's why we have these supply chain management systems that deal with this issue of complexity and vastness in this supply chain. So basically, you must have already studied the supply chain. Basically, क्या है? It's a network of organizations and business processes for, number one, procuring raw materials, and then transforming them into intermediate products जिनको parts हम बोलते हैं, and then transforming them into finished goods. So basically क्या है? Raw materials जो हैं वो parts में convert हो रहे हैं, parts जो हैं finished goods में convert हो रहे हैं, and then these finished goods are shipped from the warehouses or distribution centers to different kinds of retail stores. And then from those retail stores आपके customers तक पहुँचते हैं वो products. So basically your supply chain here, as you can see, is linking the suppliers. It's linking the manufacturing plants that are basically manufacturing the products. Then it's linking the distribution centers. These distribution centers are further linked with the retail outlets, and finally the customers. So basically आपका supply chain जो है, it is linking all these entities together. Nike की हम एग्जाम्पल ले लेते हैं. बेसिकली एज यू नो नाइक डिज़ाइन भी करता है, मार्केट भी करता है, सेल भी करता है डिफरेंट स्पोर्ट्स कोच को, स्पोर्ट्स वेयर को, सॉक्स, स्नीकर्स, इस किस्म की चीज़ों को, स्पोर्ट्स गियर जिसको हम कहते हैं, उन सब चीज़ों को वो डिज़ाइन कर रहा है, मार्केट कर रहा है और सेल भी कर रहा है. अब बेसिकली व्हाट दे हैव इज़ उनके पीछे दे हैव कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरर्स that have their own suppliers. So basically Nike के अपने contract manufacturers होते हैं. कहाँ होते हैं? China, Indonesia, Bangladesh, etc. इस किस्म की countries में इनके contract manufacturers जो हैं वो काम कर रहे हैं. They're creating the goods, obviously with the label of Nike. अब ये वाले जो manufacturers हैं इनके अपने suppliers हैं. Right, suppliers क्यों हैं? For example, एक जो manufacturer है, he is creating sneakers. अब वो sneakers जो बना रहा है या shoes जिसको कहते हैं वो बना रहे हैं, तो उसके soles का raw material चाहिए, upper part का raw material चाहिए, laces का raw material चाहिए. So people who are creating manufacturing these shoes, that means they need raw material for that. Now अब आपके पास क्या आ गया? आपके पास लेसेस आ गए हैं, सोल्स आ गए हैं, रबर सोल्स आ गए हैं, अपर पोर्शन आ गया कपड़े का या लेदर का या किसी चीज मटेरियल का भी, वो आपके पास आ गया. बट दी सप्लायर्स अगेन जिन्होंने आपको ये चीज सप्लाई की है, फॉर एग्जांपल लेसेस आपको एक सप्लायर ने सप्लाई किया है, दोज लेसेस सप्लायर्स हैव देयर ओन सेट ऑफ सप्लायर्स जो कि उनको थ्रेड प्रोवाइड करते हैं और वो प्लास्टिक का कवरिंग प्रोवाइड करते हैं जिससे वो लेसेस क्रिएट करते हैं. राइट जी. इसी तरह आपके जो सोल्स जो आपको प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं सप्लायर्स, उनके अपने सप्लायर्स होंगे जो उनको सिंथेटिक रबर सप्लाई कर रहे हैं. So that means that it creates a complete chain of suppliers कि जो कि they are integrating together, they work together, supply products from one entity to another entity to create a certain product. So इसी तरह so basically इसमें दो terms आ जाती हैं. Upstream basically deals with the companies, the suppliers and their suppliers. So it is upstream is a link between the organization, its suppliers and their suppliers. Downstream basically is the organization and processes for distributing and delivering products to the customer end. As for example यहाँ पे Right, for example, this is the organization Nike. Then this here is the downstream, जो कि distribution or retail outlets, again concerned with the companies and processes, जो कि customers को वो products पहुंचाने से deal करते हैं. Right जी, so this whole becomes your downstream of the supply chain. Now we said that Nike has a number of contract manufacturers. So these are your contract manufacturers 1, contract manufacturing 2, and so on and so forth. Since Nike is a large, vast and complex organization, so that means कि इसके बहुत सारे contract manufacturers हैं और बहुत सारे distribution centers भी हैं, as well as lot of retail outlets जहाँ पे उनके products sale होते हैं. Right जी, अब these contract manufacturers will have their own set of suppliers. Also, these will have their own set of suppliers even more. So this whole basically becomes the upstream of the supply chain. Right जी, तो इसमें हमने क्या देखा that this is your whole supply chain of the Nike. The Nike here is this main organization जिसके distribution centers हैं, retail outlets हैं, and then customers buy from the retail outlets, and this portion of the supply chain makes the downstream. Here when you're talking about the contract manufacturers, which are basically the suppliers, so these are the main suppliers, और उसके अलावा इन suppliers के अपने suppliers होंगे, and these suppliers may have their own suppliers. For example, these people are creating the shoes, right? अब इन shoes को क्या चाहिए? They need suppliers for laces, they need suppliers for the soles, and they need supplier for the upper as well. Upper जो कि shoes का upper होता है, right जी? अब laces वालों के अपने suppliers होंगे. For example, they need threads. ये उनको plastic covering चाहिए होगी, etc. etc. So this basically makes a whole big supply chain, complex supply chain जिसको हम कहते हैं, and that constitutes the upstream of the supply chain. Right, so when these supply chains become vast and complex, that means कि इनके अंदर problems भी आएंगे, इनके अंदर inefficiencies भी आएंगी, and that's why these systems, these vast systems, complex systems need a certain kind of management system या management information system जिसको हम कह सकते हैं supply chain management system, जो कि इन सारी चीज़ों को coordinate करेगा. Obviously there's a lot of information going upstream, a lot of information going downstream as well, so all this information and the product collaboration needs to be sort of collaborated and integrated in a way कि कोई problem ना create हो या जिसको जो raw material जिस वक्त required है उसी वक्त पहुंच जाए. So let's look at a few problems of the supply chain, that when you're dealing with the movement of products throughout the supply chain, तो किस किस्म के problems आ सकते हैं. So problems in the supply chain management may be that inaccurate or untimely information causes various kinds of problems. So that means the basic problem जो आता है supply chain में, inefficiencies जब होती है supply chain में, that basically occur because of the inaccurate and untimely information. एक तो ये कि information सही नहीं पहुंची, ये भी हो सकता है that information did not come on time. So when we're talking about information, we always say that it has to be at the right time, in the right format, and to the right person. So this is what we've always stressed upon. अब इस inaccuracy और untimeliness से क्या problems आ सकते हैं? You can have parts shortage, you can have underutilized plants. For example, आपके plants हैं लेकिन you're not getting enough raw material या जो आप produce कर रहे हैं उसका इतना impact नहीं है, या customers वो buy नहीं कर रहे, that means the plants वैसे ही पड़े हुए हैं. और if they अगर आपके कोई गलत किस्म की information आ रही है and the products are being delivered from the distribution centers, again high transportation costs आ सकती हैं. इसके अलावा अगर कोई गलत किस्म की information है about the demand of the product, again excessive inventory collect हो सकती है, that again puts a load on the warehouses and the distribution centers. So there can be a number of problems that are caused by just because of the fact that आपका data जो है वो time पे नहीं मिल रहा, या information जो है वो time पे share नहीं हो रही. Again, sometimes these companies cannot apply just-in-time strategy. This just-in-time strategy is very important when dealing with the supply chains. And just-in-time का क्या मतलब है? That the components are arriving exactly when you need them, or the finished goods are leaving the distribution center or warehouses as soon as they are completed. So just-in-time strategy ये होनी चाहिए कि आपको raw materials या components उस वक्त मिल रहे हो exactly when you need them, and the finished goods जो जिस तरह as soon as they are completed उसी तरह वो बाहर निकल रहे हैं distribution center से. So that means कि आपका कोई inventory load ज़्यादा नहीं हो रहा, warehouses और distribution centers पे load ज़्यादा नहीं हो रहा, और the products are created according to the demand. So another problem is that uncertainties also arise, and such as, for example, you have an uncertain product demand. एक और inefficiency ये हो सकती है, एक और problem ये हो सकता है कि uncertainties जो है वो आ जाती हैं. That means कि for example some companies cannot foresee कि आपका जो ये वाला product है, a certain product will be in demand more at this time of the year or at this time of the month. So when they cannot foresee something, foresee means कि उनको पहले से नहीं पता हो है कि ये वाला प्रोडक्ट जो है वो इन डिमांड हो जाएगा इस टाइम पे ज़्यादा. सो इसका क्या मतलब है कि आपका जो प्रोडक्ट है उसकी जो इन्वेंट्री में वो तो खाली हो गया, सो देयर इज नॉट मच इनफ प्रोडक्ट टू मीट द डिमांड. या ये हो सकता है दैट आपको गलत इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल गई है दैट दिस इन्फॉर्मेशन विल बी इन डिमांड इन द फ्यूचर, so that you have piled up the inventory, and not just that कि आपके different suppliers ने भी inventory pile up कर लिया. So this basically gives rise to this problem called the bullwhip effect. This, that is, information about the demand gets distorted as it passes from one entity to another across the supply chain. ये हो सकता है कि जब आप एक bullwhip effect means के एक एंड के ऊपर, कस्टमर एंड के ऊपर फॉर एग्जांपल कोई एक ऐसी डिमांड है जिसने कहा है कि वी नीड मोर प्रोडक्ट, राइट, या फिर किसी एक कस्टमर ने इस किस्म की डिमांड कर दी है कि उसने ज़्यादा प्रोडक्ट्स बाय करना शुरू कर दिए हैं, या उसको ज़्यादा प्रोडक्ट्स की डिमांड है. सो क्या होता है, इट क्रिएट्स अ डिस्टॉर्टेड डिमांड थ्रू आउट द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. रिटेल सेंटर्स कहते हैं हमें ज़्यादा चाहिए, अगेन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेंटर से दे वांट मोर, अगेन दे स्टॉक अप मोर, इन्वेंट्री ज़्यादा स्टॉक अप होना शुरू हो जाती है. वेयर हाउसेज में अगेन the suppliers start creating the product more, they ask their own suppliers to give the raw materials more. So throughout the supply chain आपका ये जो bullwhip effect है, that sort of creates a lot of inventory at every entity level. जिस entity के ऊपर, suppliers के ऊपर, distribution centers के ऊपर वो product stock होना शुरू हो जाता है या उसके raw materials stock होना शुरू हो जाते हैं, so that के even though demand उस time तक finish हो गई है, but still the inventory has been stocked up. So this is called the bullwhip effect, कि जो information है वो by the time it reaches the other suppliers, जो suppliers को supply कर रहे हैं, वो demand जो है वो completely exaggerate होके बताई जा सकती है. So all these problems, ये जो uncertainty के problem है, the inaccurate information, the untimely information, this bullwhip effect, ये सारे problem solve हो सकते हैं only if all the members or all the entities throughout the supply chain or all the people working at different stages in the supply chain have timely information and up-to-date information. So when they have the timely up-to-date information, they can adjust the sourcing, they can adjust the manufacturing, and they can adjust the distribution plans as well. So it's very important that correct information and timely information is provided throughout the supply chain to all the entities, so that they can source the product, so that they can manufacture the product, so that they can plan the distribution of the products in the right manner. Right, ji. Next we're going to look at how the information systems basically help in solving all these problems. So when you apply the information systems, या हम एक management system introduce करते हैं supply chain में, then what does it do? दो तीन चीजें इनमें बताई गई हैं. Number one is that it helps the supply chain entities या supply chain में जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, deciding when and what to produce, store and move. That means कि वो basically उनको एक decide करने का basis provide करता है कि deciding when to produce and what to produce, also क्या चीज़ store करनी है और क्या चीज़ distribute करनी है. Then it also allows them to rapidly communicate orders throughout the supply chain. Also, it allows them to track the status of orders. जो भी customer ने orders किए हैं, तो उसका जो status है वो check हो सकता है. Also check the inventory availability and monitor the inventory levels. Again, आपके system इस तरह काम कर सकते हैं that if the inventory is either going too low or too much, then again there are methods of controlling that. Again, they help in reducing the inventory, transportation and warehouse costs. Again, when you apply a just-in-time strategy, तो उससे क्या होता है कि आपकी inventory control होती है, transportation as well as warehousing costs जो हैं वो control हो जाती हैं. Also, they can be helpful in tracking the shipments as well, and they can be helpful in planning the production based on customer demand. Again, whenever the customer demands a certain product to be produced, तब आप वो product produce करते हैं. Also, rapidly communicate the changes in the product design. इसी तरह अगर time पे आप product design में जो changes आ रहे हैं वो communicate कर देंगे entities को, then they won't have to गलती से वो कोई product नहीं बनाएंगे, बल्कि जो भी product required है, अगर changes के साथ required है, तो वो उसी वक्त वो product create होगा. So that's why again it's all about sharing the information, sending the information on time and sending correct information throughout the supply chain. So basically information systems जो हैं, ये supply chain management system जो है, that helps the supply chain members perform their duties with efficiency and achieve operational excellence again. Right, now let's have a look at the supply chain management software. जब हम supply chain management software की बात करते हैं, तो that means कि आपका जो भी software है, हम उसके क्या-क्या functions कर रहा है, we're going to talk about that. So basically supply chain management softwares are divided into two categories. Number one is based on the planning, that how the organizations are going to plan the supply chain, which means supply chain planning systems. अब ये वाले systems जो हैं, supply chain planning systems जो हैं, what do they do or what do they help the companies do is make better decisions. Right? When you have a software, और software से आप basically क्या कर रहे हैं, you are planning your whole supply chain. और उसमें क्या-क्या चीजें हैं involve होती हैं? That means how much of a specific product to produce or develop. That means the very first thing is प्लानिंग में आ जाती है कि आपने कौन सा प्रोडक्ट जो है वो कितना और कब प्रोड्यूस करना है. Again, the first thing of the information systems was exactly this, कि when and what to develop, move as well as store. Right. Number 2 is establishing inventory levels of raw materials, parts and finished goods. Again, your inventory levels can be controlled or can be planned with the help of this kind of software that basically plans that आपने कितना रॉ मटेरियल लेके आना है, कितना फिनिश पार्ट, कितने पार्ट्स प्रोड्यूस होने हैं और उन पार्ट से कितने फिनिश प्रोडक्ट्स प्रोड्यूस होने हैं. Then you have to determine where to store the finished goods. So basically that software gives you the ability to plan throughout the supply chain. That means raw materials कितने प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं, parts कितने प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं, finished goods कितने प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं, and when they have been produced or when they have been developed, where are you going to store them. And also identify the transportation for product delivery. Again, it all basically plans the whole supply chain right from start, that is getting the raw materials, till the end, that is transporting those raw finished goods to the retail stores. एक बहुत important module है in the supply chain planning systems, that is called the demand planning. That is called the demand planning. That is important and complex supply chain planning function. That basically, what does it do? It determines how much product a business needs for satisfying all its customers. Right, supply chain planning systems की एक example देख लेते हैं. For example, if a large customer or a very important customer जो एक कोई है वो एक unusual किस्म का order place कर देता है या कोई extra order place कर देता है or unusual, or if that customer changes the order on short notice. So there are different scenarios that can happen when the customers demand certain products. So उस change का जो impact होता है, that is widespread again throughout the supply chain. Again हमने bullwhip effect की बात की थी कि अगर change एक लेवल के ऊपर आ रहा है या डिमांड एक लेवल के ऊपर आ रही है तो वो हो सकता है कि throughout the supply chain it can be exaggerated or distorted. In the case अगर आपका कोई information system काम नहीं कर रहा. But yes, that can affect a widespread change, but the information systems basically are there to help that change, and they are there to basically provide information throughout the supply chain. So उसमें क्या हो सकता है कि additional raw material or a different mix of raw material may be needed, and the transportation carrier may have to be also has to reschedule deliveries. इसके अलावा supply chain planning software makes the necessary adjustments to production and distribution plans. So adjustments होती हैं सिर्फ production में नहीं, as well as distribution plans as well, so that the work throughout the supply chain can be coordinated. So different kinds of problems हो सकते हैं, arise हो सकते हैं throughout the supply chain when the customer has a demand of a different set of product, या उसने कोई change कर दिया या उसने कोई बहुत अपने product जो demand है उसको increase कर दिया. So that creates sort of a widespread effect throughout the supply chain, and that can be only fixed if you have a system installed or you have a planning software, for example, installed that can basically coordinate the work of all the members throughout the supply chain. Right, the vendors, again we have the vendors, and that means कि जो supply chain planning system provide करते हैं, that is the I2 Technologies is a very known vendor of the systems. Also enterprise software vendors जो हमने SAP पहले discuss किया था, as well as Oracle, also have the supply chain module. So different enterprise systems have the supply chain modules inbuilt, as well as there are other separate vendors that provide the supply chain system modules. Next we have the supply chain execution systems. Pehle we were talking about supply chain planning systems. Execution systems क्या करते हैं? Basically they manage the flow of products from distribution centers to retailers in efficient manner. इसके अलावा they track the physical status of the goods and they are also responsible for the management of materials, warehouses and transportation operations. And also they're managing the financial information regarding all the parties, that is from taking the goods from the distribution to the retailers to the customers. For example, एक Harvard's warehouse management system है जिसको WMS बोलते हैं, that is again responsible for tracking the flow of goods, acts on shipping plans, and it is also responsible for directing the movement of goods from the distribution centers to the retailers. So आपके supply chain execution systems and supply chain planning systems both work together to basically manage the supply chain right from the raw materials to the customer end, from the raw materials creation to the delivering the products to the customer. Now let's have a look at a case study जिससे आपको थोड़ा बेहतर अंदाजा हो जाएगा कि how these supply chain management systems help the organizations in achieving the operational excellency and competitive advantage. Right, the case study is called Southwest Airlines takes off with better supply chain management. Company क्या है? Southwest Airline है. The company is the largest low-fare, high-frequency point-to-point airline in the world and largest overall measured by number of passengers per year. So basically, आपकी जो ये Southwest Airlines company है, that is a low-fare, high-frequency point-to-point airline, जो कि it was founded in 1971 with 4 planes serving 3 cities. It started off with only 4 planes and now it has over 500 aircrafts in 68 cities. Southwest has the best customer service record among major airlines, the lowest cost structure and the lowest and simplest fares. So उनका plus point क्या है Southwest Airlines का? That they have the best customer service, they are very careful about their customers, and they have the low cost not only do they have a low cost structure, they have low fares as well. So this is the company's plus point. Now let's talk about the problem that they face. The airline success has led to continued expansion, and as the company has grown, its legacy information systems have been unable to keep up with the increasingly large amount of data being generated. Right ji, problem ye hai that the company has expanded, but their legacy systems, that means their old information systems, are not good enough to keep up with the expansion and the lot of data that is being generated. अब उन legacy systems में problems क्या है? One of the biggest problems with Southwest legacy systems was lack of information visibility. Often the data that the Southwest managers needed were safely stored in their systems but weren't visible. So the number one problem was the lack of information visibility. Data stored है लेकिन it's not visible या जो है वो retrieve on time नहीं हो रहा. Right? So that is again a very major problem. Or readily available for viewing or use in other systems. Information about what replacement parts were available at a given time was difficult or impossible to acquire, and that affected response times for everything from mechanical problems to parts fulfillment. So because the information was not available, so that affected the response time for mechanical problems and parts fulfillment. That means कि उस चीज़ को solve करना उनके लिए मुश्किल हो रहा था, और जो response time था इन चीज़ों को solve करने के लिए, that was very low. For Southwest, which prides itself on its excellent customer service, getting passengers from one location to another with minimal delay is critically important. Now, because of their problem, उनको क्या था? That repairing aircraft was crucial for getting passengers from one location to another. उनका aircraft को repair करना उनके लिए बहुत important था, because that was part of their customer service. And part of the customer service क्या चीज़ थी? That is getting the passengers from one place to another in time. So this was their major competitive advantage जो कि वो lose कर रहे थे. The company had millions in service parts inventory, so any solution that more efficiently handled that inventory and reduced aircraft groundings would have a strong impact on the airline's bottom line. Southwest manager of inventory management stated that there's a significant cost when we have to ground aircraft because we ran out of a part. The long-term cost-effective way to solve that problem was to increase productivity and to ensure that our maintenance crews were supported with the right spare parts through the right software application. Right जी. So दूसरा problem क्या था? Because they had to repair the airplane, तो उनको planes को obviously ground करना पड़ता है, उनको थोड़ी देर के लिए उनको रोकना पड़ता है. So when they had to ground the airplane, that means that plane was not in use. That means again उनका कहीं ना कहीं वो नुकसान हो रहा है. That if that plane was in use, that means it was transferring people from one place to another. So again grounding the planes were costly for them just because उनका grounding time ज़्यादा हो जाता था, just because एक तो ये कि उनके जो mechanical staff था, they couldn't find the right part at the right time, और उनको right information भी right time पे नहीं मिल रही थी. So that's why that whole process of fixing the aircraft was delayed. So that's why it was very important for them to have a software system that could readily identify that what kind of part was needed and where is that part right now, so that they can fix it quickly. After an extensive search, Southwest eventually chose i2 Technologies, a leading supply chain management software and services company that was recently purchased by JDA Software. Southwest implemented the i2 Demand Planner, i2 Service Planner, and i2 Service Budget Optimizer to overhaul its supply chain management and improve data visibility. Right जी. अब they basically acquired the i2 Technologies, वहाँ से उन्होंने software लिया था, and it was basically an inventory management solution, जिसको वो कहते हैं कि जो i2 Technologies जो उन्होंने inventory management solution दिया था, जिसके 3 modules थे. Number 1 was the i2 Demand Planner, number 2 was the i2 Service Parts Planner, and number 3 was the i2 Service Budget Optimizer. Right, the Demand Planner क्या कर रहा है? It was improving Southwest forecasts for all the parts location combinations in its system and provide better visibility into the demand for each part. So Demand Planner was basically helping them forecast a certain problem and then providing a better visibility about the different parts. Right, the i2 Service Parts Planner was helping Southwest replenish its store of parts and ensure the right parts are in the right location at the right time. So जो i2 Service Parts Planner था, वो basically provide कर रहा था information about the right part is in the right location at the right time. So this is what that they were doing कि जहाँ problem है वहाँ पे वो part पहुँच गया to be replaced. The software can also recommend the best mixture of parts for each location that will satisfy the customer service requirements of the location at the lower cost. If excess inventory builds up in a certain service location, the software will recommend the most cost-effective way to transfer that excess inventory to locations with parts deficits. Right. Now the number 3 was Service Budget Optimizer was helping Southwest use its historical data of parts usage to generate forecasts of future parts usage. Again, इनका Service Budget Optimizer जो था, that was basically analyzing the historical data of the past usage, और वो क्या कर रहा था, उसको future forecast बता रहा था of the future usage of a past. Again, this was all by the help of a central database, जिसकी हमने पहले भी बात की थी. When you are using a certain kind of a database, और आप different techniques उसके पर use कर रहे हैं, for example, data mining use कर रहे हैं, उनके historical data को check करके, and then there was another concept in that was called the predictive analysis, जिसको हम historical data को check करके future forecast बता रहे थे. Again, that kind of data manipulation या data warehouse manipulation जो है वो यहाँ पे use की गई है in the i2 Service Budget Optimizer. So, together, these solutions gather data from Southwest legacy systems and provide useful information to Southwest managers. अब वो क्या कर रहे हैं? Again, उन्हीं legacy systems को use कर रहे हैं, उनके अंदर से जो information है वो gather कर रहे हैं और उस सारी information को integrate करके और collaborate करके they are providing the useful information to the managers in the right time. Right जी, benefits क्या क्या हुए इनको? That now the company has a clear and unobstructed view of all the data up and down the company's supply chain. And by using what-if analysis, planners can quantify the cost of the company of operating at different levels of service. Then again, that inventory manager said that I too will help us lower inventory costs and keep our cost per air seat mile down to the lowest in the industry. Also, the solutions will help us ensure that the maintenance team can quickly repair the aircraft so that our customers experience minimal delays. Also, it provides increased availability of parts, increased speed and intelligence of decision making. Reduced parts inventory by 15%, saving the company over 30 million, and increased service levels from 92% to the 95% afterwards. So, the benefits of implementing that supply chain management system was that they got उनके जो different benefits थे वो उनको achieve हुए. Number one was clear and unobstructed view of the data up and down the supply chain. Throughout the supply chain now the data was visible because they were using the systems to gather the data and provide the information in a timely manner. Also, the systems were ensuring that the maintenance teams can quickly repair the aircraft, since the information was available as well as the parts were also available on time, so they could repair the aircrafts on time as well and do a better customer service. Also, that increased the speed and intelligence of decision making. Again, because the information was readily available to the managers, so the managers could do intelligent decision making. So the service levels was basically increased from 92% to 95%, जो कि 92% उनका originally था और उनका service level फिर 95% के ऊपर increase हो गया. So that means that they basically implemented the supply chain management system to solve their parts inventory problems as well as the problem of information non-visibility, that they could not see the right kind of information. The parts maintenance was being delayed, as well as parts repairing was being delayed, as well as aircraft ka jo repairing hai, that was being delayed as well. Usse kya hota tha कि they could not have the airplane or the aircraft in the moving mode, उसको ground करना पड़ता था ज़्यादा देर. That means कि वो फिर उनके aircrafts कम हो गए थे and they could not transfer the people from one place to another on time. Right जी, let's have a look at the different questions. Why is parts inventory management so important to Southwest Airlines? What business processes are affected by the airline's ability or inability to have acquired parts on hand? To have required parts on hand. Right जी, question क्या है कि उनकी जो parts inventory को manage करना है, why was that so important? और कौन से business processes थे जो इस सब चीज़ की वजह से affect हो रहे थे? And that is very very simple. उनके लिए ये सब करना क्यों important था? Because उनका basic goal था, that is to provide the best customer service and transport passengers from one place to another with minimal delay. So this was the basic goal of the company, and this goal was being affected by this inventory problem. Again, grounding aircrafts and repairing delayed because of parts problems would affect that goal. So वो जो delays आ रहे थे ground करने से aircraft को और repairing में जो time लग रहा था, that was again sort of directly affecting their goal. जो उनकी organization goal है, अगर वो affect हो रहा है, that means that is a major problem and that needs consideration, and that's what the organization did, that they implemented the system to completely overhaul their supply chain and inventory system. Right, so what are the technology factors were responsible for Southwest problems with inventory management? Right, the technology problem kya tha? The technology problem was with their legacy systems, that their legacy system, old systems lacked information visibility, and therefore because of that information about the parts was difficult to acquire. That किस किस्म का part required है, या if there is a new kind of part required तो वो कहाँ से available होगा, and which distribution centers or which warehouse has that part available right now. So this kind of information was not readily available, and that was a technology fault or a technology factor जो कि उनको उनकी company को down लेके जा रहा था. So how did implementing the I2 software change the way Subwest ran its business? Means कि I2 technologies का जो software था वो implement करके उनको किस किस्म के benefits हुए. Again इस simple जो हमने पहले भी बात की थी कि I2 software ने उनको 3 modules दिए थे: demand planner, I2 demand planner, I2 service parts planner as well as I2 service budget optimizer. और इसमें हमने देखा था कि इन तीनों modules के through they were achieving operational excellence, because I2 demand planner was providing them the forecast and better visibility. I2 service parts planner was basically providing the right parts at the right location and right time, and helping them provide the parts for the to the maintenance team so that they could repair the aircraft on time. And also budget optimizer was basically helping them reduce costs by analyzing the historical data and predicting कि future में जो usage होगी वो इस किस्म की होगी, so that they could have the products in their inventory and they can be used on time. Righty, so basically all these modules were working together to create operational efficiency throughout the supply chain of the Southwest Airlines. Right, so this was a case study about the Southwest Airlines, that what kind of problem they got into when they did not have this kind of information system. Their unka purana information system jo tha, that was not keeping up with the expansion and the lot of data produced by the customers या जो भी organization में data था, it could not handle it. Also उसके अंदर ज़्यादा problems आ रहे थे about the lack of visibility and the inefficiencies that were being caused by that lack of visibility, and because they could not achieve their organizational goal, that was to repair the aircraft on time and move the passengers from one place to another on time. So that's why they implemented the software, the I2 technologies, supply chain management software, और उसके 3 modules implement किए थे, that were basically organizing and collaborating the whole supply chain throughout the system. That means that they were basically allowing you to forecast as well as doing the demand planning as well as providing the parts on time. Also providing a view of the future as well, that history may, for example, this kind of problem occurred at this time, or this kind of part became obsolete या इस part में ये problem हुई थी, and future में इस किस्म का problem हो सकता है. Again, by the use of databases, by the use of different kinds of systems, the hardwares and softwares are all involved in this kind of information system to produce the information that is required by the managers for, again, important decision making as well as for operational excellency. Right, so in this chapter we talked about the different kinds of enterprise systems, जिसमें हमने ERP systems के advantages या enterprise systems के advantages or disadvantages देखे. इसके अलावा we looked at the 2 basic kinds of enterprise systems, the customer relationship management systems as well as the supply chain management systems. Enterprise systems, we said, that help organizations achieve the operational excellency. How? By the use a centralization, जिसका मतलब है that they use a centralized database and capture all the data into a central database and thus provide that data throughout the organization. So they also are used to enforce uniform standards and unified technology platforms. Again, these are the advantages of the enterprise systems. इसके अलावा, however, when you are implementing the enterprise systems, again we said that इसके implementation is costly and it takes time, And also, you have to do proper planning before you are implementing the system, as well as changing the business processes according to those enterprise systems या ERP system softwares के ऊपर जो उनके best practice business processes हैं उनके accordingly आपको अपनी company के processes करने होते हैं. Customization again causes problems, so it's always important to implement the kind of modules that your company requires and the systems that are extremely needed by the company, and that implementation takes around 3 or 5 years. Right, ji. Enterprise systems, when we're talking about the customer relationship management systems, we said that they help firms achieve customer intimacy because they integrate and automate customer-facing processes in the sales side, on the marketing, as well as customer services side, providing the enterprise-wide view of the customer. So, these CRM systems were basically capturing the data, integrating the data, providing the availability to analyze the data, and distributing the data to different functional areas or different contact points so that they can be used for maintaining intimate relationships or for maintaining close relationships and keeping the customers loyal and satisfied. Then we have the supply chain management systems, जिसमें हमने कहा था that these systems basically coordinate the planning, the manufacturing, as well as distribution with the suppliers by automating the information flow through all the members of the supply chain. So, because the information can be shared or it can be received on time by all the members of the supply chain, that's why they can achieve operational excellency by getting the right kind of information. And thus, all this information flow and all this getting the information on the right time reduces the number of inefficiency that can happen in the supply chain management, as well as it can reduce the effects of the bullwhip effect. इसके अलावा when we talked about supply chain management, we said कि उसके जो softwares हैं, again they are very helpful in maintaining the information throughout the organization, tracking the shipments as well as tracking the orders, as well as helping the management decide when to produce, what to store, and when to move the products from the distribution centers to the retail outlets. So this is basically about the enterprise systems के जो enterprise systems हैं वो basically cater करते हैं throughout the organization. Centralization provide करते हैं organizations में so that all the work is coordinated throughout the organization and different information is available to all the functional areas within the organization. So in the next, this is all for today. In the next lecture, we're going to talk about the different kinds of information systems working at the management level. जिसके अंदर सबसे पहले आ जाता है TPS, that is the transaction processing systems that work at the operational level. Then we're going to talk about the management information systems working at the middle management level, and then we're going to talk about the decision support systems that work at the executive level or the higher management level. So these were the enterprise systems. Again, we said that these are different from the systems that are working at the management level. जिसका again हमने for example, if you're using the transaction processing systems, again these there are number of transaction processing systems that work throughout the organization in different functional areas. So information from all these functional areas will be kept in those areas in their own transaction processing systems, and all of that information needs to be integrated. So that's why we have the ERP systems, जिनको हम enterprise systems भी बोलते हैं, that work together to basically coordinate and integrate all the information throughout the functional area so that they can be used to create the operational excellency by sharing the information so that it reduces the inconsistency of the data throughout the organization. So thank you very much. We will meet in the next lecture.